If you're moving from California to the San Antonio area, this video was made specifically for you. And I promise you, it's not one of those videos telling you that it's hot here or that people are friendlier or that everything is bigger in Texas, because you've probably already watched a few of those videos. Let's get into the stuff that actually matters when you're relocating to San Antonio from California. I'm also gonna take you on a drive through the top 3 areas where California buyers most consistently end up and show you what each one actually looks like. I work with families relocating to San Antonio from all over the country, and California is consistently one of the top places that my clients are coming from. I hear from families all across the state who are moving for a lot of different reasons. No matter what the situation is, they all want to know the same thing. Is San Antonio actually the right move, and what does life really look like when they get here? That's exactly what I'm going to walk you through today. The financial reality, the lifestyle shift, where California buyers actually end up in the area, and the questions I get asked that nobody else wants to answer without sugarcoating. Let's talk for a minute about what the financial picture actually looks like, because this is where most California buyers need real information rather than just a generic "Texas is just cheaper" blanket statement. The first thing worth understanding is the income tax situation. Texas has no state income tax. For a California family earning a solid household income, that difference is a significant amount of money back in your pocket every year. That alone changes the monthly math quite a bit before you ever even look at housing prices. San Antonio is not the San Antonio that it was 10 years ago in terms of pricing. Prices have, of course, gone up. The market has gotten more competitive in certain price ranges, especially with all of the relocation movement within the past 5 to 10 years. I do want to make sure you're going in with the accurate expectations and not the assumption that you're going to just find a mansion for an unrealistically low price. That said, here's what the budget comparison typically looks like. A California family selling a modest 3-bedroom home, let's say in the Bay Area, and bringing that equity to San Antonio is typically looking at a significant upgrade in the square footage, the lot size, finishes, and even neighborhood amenities. The $500,000 to $650,000 range in San Antonio buys you a completely different type of home than it does in most California markets. New construction is very active here, and it's a pretty big surprise to most California buyers. Builders right now are competing for buyers, which means there can be lots of great incentives available. Those are usually in the form of interest rate buy downs, closing cost contributions, upgrades, appliance packages, and other incentives that don't really exist in California's resale dominant market. The trade that California buyers need to understand is property taxes. It's true that Texas has no state income tax, but property taxes are higher here than what most Californians are used to. I'm going to be doing a full dedicated video on San Antonio property taxes soon, because it's a topic that deserves more than just 2 minutes, and people tend to have lots of questions about this. But the short version is this. The state of Texas, or any state in the US for that matter, is going to get the tax money that they need for funding, whether it's called income tax or property tax or both. Here in Texas, it's allocated as a property tax. So you just have to look more at the big picture and not just your monthly mortgage payments or annual property tax bill. For most California buyers, the math still typically works in your favor. You just have to break it all down. The link to that specific property tax video will be in the description when it's live. When I work with California buyers, they almost always end up in one of 3 general areas around San Antonio, and each area attracts a slightly different type of buyer. So let me walk you through all 3 of these areas, where they are, what they offer, and who they're really good fits for. The first area is the Hill Country Corridor. Right now we're driving on Scenic Loop Road, which connects Helotes and Boerne, and this is where most of my California clients, or even the ones from the Pacific Northwest area in general, kind of start to breathe a little sigh of relief, because this just doesn't look like what they expected Texas to look like. It's not flat farmland or rows of crops in this area. This part of Texas, which is Hill Country, is very scenic and hilly, with tons of cedar and oak trees, winding roads, and just overall beautiful scenery. This part of Texas surprises people every single time, and it's one of the main reasons why California buyers specifically tend to end up in these smaller towns in the Hill Country areas. Now we're getting into Boerne, which is the anchor town of this corridor, and the one I hear about the most from California buyers who want that smaller town lifestyle without completely giving up access to San Antonio. It has an active downtown with a walkable main street, shops, boutiques, some really great restaurants and local breweries. The schools are highly rated, and the hill country feel here is truly one of the best features. If you ask a longtime Boerne resident, they'll tell you it's nothing like the quiet little town it was 10 or 15 years ago. Growth has most definitely changed it. But for families coming from California who want that quality of life upgrade with a tight-knit community-focused town, Boerne definitely delivers that. The trade-off is, of course, the commute. Boerne sits about 30 miles northwest of downtown San Antonio. So if you're commuting daily, that adds up fast. But there are plenty of people who do make that drive every single day and will tell you it's completely worth it for the lifestyle that they get in return. Now we're heading east on Highway 46 from Boerne toward Bulverde, and this drive gives you a sense of how this whole hill country corridor connects. So if you look at a map of the loops in San Antonio, Loop 410 is the inner loop that connects all of the major highways that run through downtown and through the inner part of the city. Loop 1604 connects all of the outer highway access points and mostly outskirts of city limits. Highway 46 is essentially the loop that ties together all the smaller towns and rural areas in the hill country vicinity that are outside of Bexar County. Boerne, Bulverde, Spring Branch, Canyon Lake, they're all connected through this corridor. Bulverde is yet another suburb of San Antonio that has gotten lots of attention and has seen tons of growth in the past 5 years. People love the larger lots, more space between houses, newer construction availability, and you still have solid access to both San Antonio and the hill country. It's a really great option for families who want space but aren't ready to fully commit to a commute from Boerne to San Antonio every single day. The second area that I'm going to show you is the 281 North corridor into Stone Oak, and this one also tends to attract a lot of California buyers who want the full suburban lifestyle package without the hill country commute, and definitely without that rural, super far away from everything feel. Stone Oak is one of San Antonio's most established and asked about family-friendly areas. Most people that I talk to that are moving to San Antonio already have Stone Oak on their short list of options. Good schools, tons of restaurants, entertainment, retail options, very well-maintained neighborhoods, and easy highway access in multiple directions. It feels more like what most California buyers are already used to in terms of day-to-day convenience, but the price point is a completely different conversation than what they're leaving in California. This corridor also tends to appeal to buyers who are going into an office regularly in the north area of the city or even the medical center corridors of San Antonio. If the hill country lifestyle sounds appealing to you, but you're not ready to add 30 to 45 minutes to your commute, Stone Oak and the 281 corridor is usually where that buyer lands. The third area that I'm going to show you is the far west side of San Antonio, and this is actually where I live. Okay, the far west side has some of the most active new construction in the entire San Antonio metro right now. New communities are constantly popping up along the Potranco Road corridor, Highway 211, which connects Highway 90 to Potranco and then connects Potranco Road to Culebra and the Alamo Ranch area. There's constant development in this area of the city, both commercial and residential, and it's where you're going to find the most square footage for your money anywhere in the city, especially if you're looking for newer construction. For a California buyer bringing equity from a home sale, this area tends to feel like a huge win in terms of what your budget actually buys. And this isn't just affordable housing in a developing area because the infrastructure is in constant growth mode also. The highways and major roadways are expanding, connecting roadways are being added to help with traffic, new schools are being added, the dining and retail along Loop 1604, Highway 151, even down every major corridor in this area is constantly expanding. Traffic is heavier in most of these areas on the far west side of San Antonio, that's for sure. So commuting all the way across town during peak traffic times isn't the best idea, although there are people that still do it. But for families who don't need to be in a specific part of the city for work, the far west side offers a lot of city convenience at a price point that most of the other parts of San Antonio just can't match right now. And it just feels kind of disconnected from the big city without feeling too far out and too far away from everything. The buyer that tends to really thrive on the far west side of San Antonio is the one that's really looking for more square footage and newer construction, newly developed areas over walkability or close proximity to something downtown. A lot of the families from California that I work with end up somewhere in one of those three general areas. the Hill Country Corridor, the 281 North Stone Oak area, or the far west side of San Antonio. Not always. There are, of course, plenty of other options in the San Antonio area, but these are pretty much the most common. Where you land specifically entirely depends on your commute situation, your lifestyle priorities, and of course your budget. And that's exactly what the suburb quiz I built is designed to help you figure out. The link is in the description. It takes about 3 minutes and it'll point you in the right direction before you spend hours scrolling through listings on Zillow. There are a few things that tend to catch California buyers off guard when they actually get here. The first one is the size of the city. San Antonio is geographically huge. Getting from one side of the city to the other takes a lot longer than it looks like it would on a map. And the suburb you fall in love with online might be 45 minutes or more from where you're working. So we have to make sure to factor commute time into every decision, not just your overall sales price. The second one is school district boundaries. They're not always easy to understand or obvious here. You can be in a certain zip code and not be zoned for the school district you would assume that you'd be in. You can be less than a mile from a specific high school, but be zoned for the high school that's 20 minutes away. There are even some neighborhoods where the county line and the school district boundary line are right in the middle of that subdivision. So you can't ever assume on schools. We will always verify the specific address before you make an offer if certain schools are important to you. The third one is new construction. The builder market here is very active, and most California buyers are not used to having so many brand new home options available. Model homes are beautiful and they are designed to pull you in. The sales agents are super friendly and it's easy to get excited and sign something before you've done the research. Having a realtor who knows the area, the builder, and the new construction process that also represents you and not the builder is a necessity. The builder's sales rep works for the builder. So keep that in mind before you ever reach out to a builder, even if it's just a few questions that you have. Now I'm going to pause here to address something that I get asked about more and more, and it has nothing to do with where to live in San Antonio, but I feel like it's important to talk about. I get lots of California buyers that ask me if they should expect to feel unwelcome by Texans here just because they're from California. They've either seen comments on social media, including right here on YouTube, or they've been in Facebook groups. They want to know if the "Don't California my Texas" is something they're going to run into when they actually arrive. Here's what I have to say about that, and this is my honest perspective as a lifelong Texan. San Antonio is one of the most culturally diverse cities in Texas. It has always been a city full of people that are from somewhere else. Some people just moving through, some people putting down roots, some people retiring, obviously lots of military families, but definitely people from all over. The overwhelming majority of San Antonians are far more interested in whether you're a good neighbor and a good community member than in where you came from. What I do tell California buyers and buyers from anywhere is to be open-minded and flexible. Come ready to appreciate what makes Texas and San Antonio specifically what it is, rather than coming in with a list of things you wish were different. Every place has a culture worth respecting. San Antonio is no different, and it's definitely worth getting to know. So if you're a California family that's seriously considering moving to San Antonio, I hope that this gave you a clearer picture of what you're actually looking at. Not just the highlights reel or the generic info you can find from a quick Google search, but the real layout of the city and what each area is like for families who live there. The full written guide for California buyers is at my website, livinginsatx.com. Don't worry, it's linked in the description below. It covers everything we talked about today in more detail, plus links to every suburb and neighborhood page I've built on the site. Take the suburb quiz before you do anything else. It's free, it's in the description also, and it takes about 3 minutes. It'll help you narrow down where to live in San Antonio based on your lifestyle, your budget, and your commute situation, and it also brings up options that most people wouldn't have thought to look at on their own. And if you're past the research phase, if you have a timeline, you know your budget, and you're ready to actually talk to someone who knows this market and helps families that are relocating to San Antonio every day, just book a free location call with me. The link to my calendar is in the description also. No pressure, no sales pitch, just a conversation about your situation so we can start to plan your move to San Antonio. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.